Okay, in this brief demo, I'm just going to illustrate what it's like for a property user potentially to add extras to a traveling reservation. So very quickly and simply, I'm on the ResRequest login screen. I'm going to log in as normal. Oops. Okay, it's logging me in. I'm just going to resize it so it's in the film area. Right, and I've defaulted this user so that they log in and automatically land onto the quick entry screen. Now, the idea here and the assumption that in this demonstration is that your reservations office or your lodge has followed a procedure where they've already allocated a room to the booking and a guest to the booking. So when I go to my charge to, I'm going to select who's traveling today. And it shows me a list of obviously the rooms that have been allocated, as well as the reservations and the different guests. So I can get as specific as just charging to a res, or charging to a guest, or charging to a room. And in this case, I'm going to charge this to Jim Sully. And you'll notice that immediately it opens up a Jim Sully charge to with the invoice made out to Jim Sully. So because I've actually roomed the guest, it means that that extra is not just added onto the main reservation folio, it's actually going to open up a folio for Jim Sully so that when he checks out of the lodge, it's going to have an invoice sitting in his name. I could change this if I wanted to, but because I've taken the time to actually allocate Jim when he checked into my lodge, it's going to do that automatically. And I'm going to click on Add Extra. And it lists all the categories that I've got in my system. So let's go and have a look at what's under General. And we're assuming that perhaps he has booked to see the choir. So I'm going to select the choir, and the quantity, there's 2 in his room, so I'm going to say that there's 2. Obviously it would normally populate the price, but I'm going to say that there's a unit price of 50 Rand, and I'm going to add the extra. And it adds the extra to the bottom of this extras quick entry screen. So at this point now I could continue the cycle. I could add another extra if I chose to. Or I could simply say update his account with it. Now, updating his account is obviously going to go to the reservation. It's going to go to Jim Sully's invoice, and it's going to add this on. And if Jim Sully doesn't have an invoice, it's actually going to create it for him. So I'm going to say update the account. All right, here you go. This is equivalent to a kind of a small receipt, I suppose, that you could print. But if I wanted to go and see the details at this point, I could go into the reservation. And this can be done on a daily basis. You can add to Jim Sully's account. And at the point of checkout, you can obviously go in and produce a copy of the invoice. I'm going to go into the reservation just so that you can have a look and see what's going on. It loads me onto the extras tab. Let's just go through. Here's the itinerary. This is booked for 4 rooms. And inside my rooming tab, I had already allocated Jim Sully into room number 1, which is the one that I invoiced. And this is what you're seeing over here, is that an extra was added for the choir, and there's the details of that extra, 50 Rand each, and it's added to there. But let's have a look. What's interesting is let's go onto the invoices tab, and we'll have a look at what's happened there. So on the financial tab, you'll notice now that on the folio invoices tab, I've got my master folio, which is the accommodation made out to Joe Soap. That's how I booked it. But Jim Sully now has an invoice waiting to be actually invoiced in his name, 100 Rand. So at this point now, if I was at the lodge and Jim was leaving, I could convert this into an authentic invoice following my normal procedures, or I can record a payment against it. So let's quickly go in and do that. Show you what it looks like to record a payment. I'll just say he's paying cash, and I'll say he's settling up of 100, and I'll save and close. And of course now that folio is going to be updated to say that he was charged 100, he's paid 100, and outstanding balance is obviously 0. And there we go, you have it over here. So I can print a copy of the pro forma invoice as I normally do for Jim Sully if I wanted to, which is over here. I could email it to him, or obviously print it, or I can generate it as an invoice. Anyhow, that's just a quick description of how it works to add an extra. You can also add an extra from the rooming calendar, but I think at this point I just wanted to show you that it can very quickly and simply be added to any invoices or any reservations that are traveling. Okay, so now I'm going to show you from the rooming calendar what this looks like. If I go to the rooming calendar, I'm having a look at my rooming structure, and there's Jim and Sandy Sully. I'm going to select them, and I can add an extra from here as well, very quickly and easily. Pretty much the same as before. It's telling me here that I can select the room or reservation to charge to. And I'm going to obviously select room 1. And I can select to actually put it into Jim Sully's account. But if I wanted this one to, for some reason, to go to Sandy, perhaps they have separate accounts, I can do that. So I'm going to go in and say Sandy's interested in something from catering. Perhaps she wants a wedding cake. I'm going to add that there. And I can add a few more extras at the same time. Perhaps she wants some sort of a special dinner, maybe for her and her hubby. And when I'm ready, I can update and obviously print the confirmation, or I can just update the account. And record a payment is another option as well. So I'm going to say update the account. And obviously it updates the account for Sandy now to have that. When I go to actually check out this reservation or produce the financials report, you'll see here that it's telling me that Jim Sully has obviously an account of 100 Rand, which he's fully paid. But over here, Sandy Sully now owes us 1,060 Rand. So I would need to record payment, which I can do very quickly and easily. I can say that she's actually paid me 1060. And I can save and close this. Whoops. I need to say what method of payment. I'll say that it's cash. And there you go. It now indicates that Sandy Sully's account is fully paid. And at this point, I can also produce a copy of the documentation just to show her exactly what services she incurred, what the VAT charges, etc. were, and what's her outstanding balance. And I can make a payment, obviously process this for her. I could print a copy, or I could generate it as an invoice if I chose to. I could actually convert the invoice here. So that's just another way of doing the exact same thing as before, except in this particular demo, I've gone through using the rooming calendar, and the previous one I had used the extras quick entry. So just to show you, those are both available from here. The extras quick entry is from there, and the rooming calendar is just below it. I hope that's helped.